Nearly everyone has been saying the same thing about Disney these past few years. They've lost their magic, they're focused on money rather than telling good stories, yet 2025 might legitimately be the end of that. Because Zootopia 2 is on pace to become the highest grossing Disney animation movie of all time. And finally feels like a movie that Disney truly, genuinely cared about. But is this just a one-off? Or is it a sign of a real creative comeback under Disney Animation's new leadership? I promise that by the end of this video, you will feel way different about Disney's future. For years, conversations around Disney Animation have been about decline, underperforming box office numbers, lukewarm reviews, and the sense that the studio had lost its creative edge. Since around 2017, Disney Animation and Disney as a broader company have relied heavily on sequels, remakes, and mediocre storytelling, while the experimental or riskier energy in the medium has shifted to studios like Sony, DreamWorks, Fortiche, or anime studios. Projects like Strange World, Wish, and Moana 2 are simply forgettable and underwhelming. In the past 7 years for the studio, movie after movie has seemed to underwhelm either commercially, critically, or both. Zootopia 2 is the first time in years that a Walt Disney Animation Studios movie has clearly fired on all cylinders at once, which I'm pretty sure nobody expected. I mean, Zootopia was already a modern classic for Disney, so the risk with Zootopia 2 was obvious. Sequels are already usually a cash grab. If they also arrive nearly a decade later, that's even worse. They're usually too safe, too obvious, too detached from what made the original special. The surprise is that Zootopia is the opposite of that. The movie is so good. It leans into the complexity of its world, deepens its character relationships, and still manages to feel fresh rather than like a reheated version of the 2016 story. The world building is incredible. The attention to detail, to every little nuance of how different animals would live in this world is genuinely surprising. That paired with the shockingly great humor and comedic timing makes for a great sequel already. But it doesn't stop there, because the movie delves deeper into Nick, Judy, and the wrinkles of their relationship as well. People have been raving about the movie, some saying it's the best sequel that Disney has ever made. And I kind of agree, I'm not gonna lie. It's a really well constructed and carefully considered evolution of the original. The numbers alone tell a story of a studio reconnected with its audience, which is why it's probably going to become the highest grossing Disney animation movie of all time, topping Frozen 2's $1.4 billion. I mean, its global opening soared to roughly $556 million, placing it among the largest worldwide openings in box office history, and marking the strongest global debut ever for an animated movie. That is very hard to do. But when you combine a great first movie with awesome marketing and, crucially, early word of mouth that told families that this was worth seeing in theaters rather than waiting for streaming, that's what ends up happening. And as of recording, it's already sitting at $1.13 billion in less than 3 weeks, projected to hit between 1.5 and 1.7 billion. That's wild. But the money isn't even the most important part here. It's the fact that people are loving the story of not only a Disney movie, but a Disney sequel. The reviews have been amazing. It's the first movie since Tangled 15 years ago to have a Letterboxd score of 3.9 or above, which in my mind is the best judge of a movie's quality. It also sits comfortably in the low to mid 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, with one of the highest Rotten Tomato audience scores in all of Disney animation history. Although I can't say I trust Rotten Tomatoes when The Lion King has the same ratings as Encanto. Regardless, it's clear Zootopia 2 is some of the best writing and storytelling Disney Animation has done in years. But here's where things get really interesting, because there's one person behind the scenes who's been quietly reshaping Disney's entire creative direction. And if you look at what he's planning, it's actually kind of shocking. See, in 2024, Jared Bush was named Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Animation Studios, stepping into a role previously held by Jennifer Lee, who oversaw a lot of movies during her tenure since 2018, but the fact that she co-wrote Wish means I'm more than happy that she's stepping down. Plus, Jared had already built one of the strongest track records at the studio by co-directing Zootopia, writing Moana, and co-directing Encanto. Those are basically the highlights of Disney's last 10 years, so he clearly knows what he's doing. On top of that, he co-directed and wrote Zootopia 2. Insane success rate. But what makes this even more exciting isn't really his track record, it's his vision for Disney's future. In interviews, Jared emphasizes that Disney's job is to make movies that stand the test of time. And he wants everyone at the studio thinking in those terms and embodying that. He's hinted at an evolution of Disney's visual identity, saying he thinks about the studio's visual style a lot, and clearly suggesting that upcoming movies are going to experiment more radically with style, which honestly sounds like fucking music to my ears. I'm pretty sure this means a 3D, 2D hybrid style like Sony's been doing, but full 2D could also be on the table. When asked about 2D, Jared Bush teased, while smiling, that there are 2D artists within the studio creating remarkable work. And he recently brought legendary Disney animator Ron Clements out of retirement to mentor the next generation. The guy behind Aladdin, The Little Princess, Treasure Planet, Hercules, Princess and the Frog. If you're going to trust anyone to guide Disney's next era of animators, I am more than happy with it being Ron Clements. Whether this means a hybrid, a return to full 2D, or maybe even experimenting with an anime-inspired style, we don't know yet. But the fact that Jared is seemingly prioritizing creativity and innovation is such a huge step in the right direction. And the future pipeline of movies is the biggest indicator of change at the studio. I'll get to that in a second. First, I have to clear something up though. That is not to say that there won't be sequels, because there are already multiple sequels planned. I mean, we got Frozen 3, Frozen 4 is also in development, plus the abomination of a Moana remake that's coming next year. But these are still all great signs. Finally, leadership that seems to be more focused on original films and innovating in visual style. Also important to note that Jared isn't in charge of the live-action remakes. He simply oversees the output of the Disney Animation division. So all Disney animated projects. But while Zootopia 2 might be a great step in that direction, the only thing that will truly mark the return of the Disney we all know and love is continued excellence. And when you look at the next 3 films they're making, there's one project that could completely change everything. First up though is Hexed in November 2026, and this is where things get interesting. It's an original movie, emphasis on original, about a teenage boy who discovers that his strangeness is actually magical powers. The premise alone puts it in coming-of-age fantasy territory, but what matters most is who's directing it. Josie Trinidad and Jason Hand. Both promoted from within Disney's story and artist departments. Trinidad worked on Zootopia and has story credits across multiple Disney films, while Hand was co-director on Moana 2 and co-writer on Encanto. Usually Disney doesn't pair 2 newish directors on an original feature film, so this is already straying from the norm, and should hopefully mean it's a welcome departure from what we've been getting on their original films recently. Beyond Hexed, there's Frozen 3 in 2027, which, yeah, is a sequel, but at least Jennifer Lee is stepping back from her executive role to focus entirely on writing and directing it, which I'm hoping will lead to better writing. But the most exciting piece of the puzzle is the untitled 2028 movie Disney is making. It's apparently not a human world and will have a very different style than Disney is accustomed to. Plus, like we mentioned, Jared Bush has said he thinks about the evolution of Disney's art style a lot. So it's clear Disney is done pretending that the rounded, glossy CG look they've used since Tangled is the only way forward. And this matters because for the last few years, every other animation studio has been experimenting with style. Sony, DreamWorks, Netflix, even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem blew us away with its sketchy, textured style. Anime has also been dominating in international markets with their gorgeous 2D animation. Meanwhile, Disney and Pixar kept pumping out movies that were visually indistinguishable from each other. Now, before you get too hyped, there is one major problem that could kill all of this before it even starts. And it's the same issue that's destroyed recent Disney animation original movies. None of this matters if Disney does not market these original movies properly. Strange World and Raya and the Last Dragon got virtually no promotion compared to Disney's sequels, and then executives acted shocked when they flopped. Same thing with Elio. Different studio, but same parent company. You can't half-ass the marketing budget for originals and then use their underperformance as proof that audiences don't want original stories. Look, an original movie will likely never make as much as a sequel of an established franchise. That's just the reality of the situation. But that's exactly why the marketing has to be there. If Disney wants Hexed and that 2028 movie to succeed, they need to commit to marketing them as hard as they marketed Zootopia 2. They actually have to believe in their original movie's box office potential, not just treat them as prestige projects destined for Disney+. Which is another issue. Disney has just been funneling new movies to Disney Plus so fast. Raya went to streaming, Strange World was there after just a month, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, straight to Disney Plus too. Bob Iger later admitted this devalued their animation brands. So now Disney has to rebuild trust that their theatrical releases are actually worth seeing in theaters, especially for original movies, by prioritizing that. Which leads me to the main question of this video. Is Zootopia 2 a fluke, or is Disney finally going to turn things around? Well, here's my actual take, and it might surprise you. Honestly, it's hard not to get excited when a studio puts in this much effort into a sequel, and when the new main person responsible for the creative output of the studio talks about the future with such enthusiasm, spark, and passion. It hypes me up. Jared Bush has been given the keys to the studio at a moment when it desperately needs a creative reset. And every public statement he's made points towards someone who's deeply passionate about Disney, understands what went wrong, and knows how to fix it. Given the confirmed upcoming slate, the confirmation that Disney's working on different animation styles, and the emphasis on original projects, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the start of a new great era at Walt Disney Animation Studios. That being said, I also wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. Hexed needs to be great for me to feel confident about this being a new era for Disney animation. But if Hexed flops, if the 2028 film plays it safe, or if Jared Bush's creative vision gets hampered by other Disney executives meddling, then Zootopia 2 will just be remembered as the one time Disney accidentally remembered how to make a great movie. Right now though, I'm cautiously optimistic, because for the first time in years, Disney animation feels like it's being run by someone who actually loves animation rather than someone managing a content pipeline. And if Zootopia 2 taught us anything, it's that when Disney cares, like really truly cares about what they're making, they're still one of the best animation studios in the business.